So, my name is Emily Neville, and I am the Director of Business Development at Shore Up Supply. And today I'm going to be talking about how to make money from your merch program. I'm really excited to be giving this talk virtually today for the craft beer professionals. I think really highly of Andrew and Aaron and the whole team at CBP. I've given this presentation, of course, continue to iterate on it, but I have given this presentation at the Virginia Brewers Conference and most recently last week at the Pennsylvania Brewers Conference. So I'm excited to be able to give it today to all of you, wherever you may be listening in from. And I will be giving it as well at the North Carolina Brewers Conference coming up in November. So far, I've heard that it's really helpful, and I hope it's helpful for you today, for all those listening in. All right, so a little bit more about me before we get into making money from your merchandise. I started a company in college called Reborn, focused on upcycling post-consumer textile waste. So got that up and running, and then to make this long story much shorter for you all, a couple years into that, realized some of the issues with scalability as I was trying to upcycle. My team and I were upcycling textile waste from all different industries, not only from individuals, but corporations, colleges, and universities. We really got into quite a bit of upcycling. And that was when Raleigh Brewing, I live here in Raleigh, North Carolina. So Raleigh Brewing Company reached out to me and let me know that they were throwing away 200 grain bags every week from their brewing process. This really stood out to me because I realized that this was a recurring problem of textile waste. The bags were really durable, very easy for upcycling. And as I talked to more breweries, I discovered that this was not a problem singular to Raleigh Brewing, but a problem that virtually every brewery everywhere is experiencing. And so pivoted the company to beer to bags, which is in about 250 tap rooms today. So we make branded merchandise out of those empty malt bags that a lot of times are thrown away after they're used in the brewing process. So beer to bags has gone really well. And so earlier this year in March, I sold it to Hoptown Handles, which makes sustainable tap handles out of Portland, Oregon. They have a shop there. Sold it to Hoptown and their sister brand, Shore Up Supply, which focuses on responsibly sourced and sustainably made merchandise. So came on with the brand, and I'm excited to be here now leading sales of merchandise. So any questions about merch after this, feel free to reach out to me and we can talk much further about it. Okay, so before getting into how to make money from your merchandise programs, wanted to touch on why does it fail so often to bring in sales? And really what it boils down to is that this is often an afterthought. I totally get it, especially after going to so many brewery conferences this fall, that you have a lot to think about and worry about when it comes to running your brewery. But I'm excited to let you in on a secret, and that's that you don't have to have a full service kitchen to make money from merch, right? So I know you're getting a lot thrown at you today, from beer releases to having food in your tap room, having entertainment in your tap room. Quite a few things are being asked of you, but merchandise is really a great way to have consistent profit coming in with little effort, right? Not no effort, right? If we do that, then it's going to continue to fail to bring in sales, but just a little bit more effort put into your merchandise program and you will reap the benefits. So that's the main reason why, right? It's often an afterthought from a lack of bandwidth that you may have as an owner. The other reasons that it can fail is from a lack of item and design variety. So we've all seen this before, but just slapping your primary logo on a ton of SKUs doesn't look very compelling in your tap room or on your merch website if you have merch offered on your website. And so it just is, it's not going to really catch the attention or appeal of your patrons coming in. Poor visibility and pricing are two other big ones. With pricing, I often say money is really left on the table with brewery merchandise programs. I think more often than not, we are pricing it lower than we need to be. And so I'll give you some tips on how to get the biggest bang of your buck from your merchandise program. But finally, poor visibility. location, 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 right? It doesn't matter how good your merchandise is. If it's in a corner where no one can see it, you're not going to sell it. So these are just a few reasons why merch can fail to bring in sales. Here to tell you that it doesn't have to be that way. Merch matters. Like I said, you don't have to invest in a full service kitchen to have a standout merchandise program. Um, Not only that, but if you have consistent sales of merchandise, tabs will be higher, which will also lead to higher tips. So your team will really thank you for that bump in ticket prices at the end of the day. When people buy merch, the transaction doesn't stop there, right? They're going to continue to wear and use this merch in their daily lives, further promoting your brand. So, never a bad thing for someone to be walking around your community wearing your brewery sweatshirt, right? It's great to continue to get the word out about what you're doing, what you're building at your brewery. And finally, it also boosts employee morale and pride. This is why I always say to involve your team in your merchandise selections and purchasing, because they should feel a part of that, right? If they are excited about the merch you're bringing in, they want to wear it, they want to use it, they want to tell their friends about it, they're going to be loyal to your brand and really tell your patrons about it too. So it's very fun for them. Okay, so getting into really tips, right? We got it now, right? Merch often fails to bring in sales. Doesn't have to be that way. It's highly important. So, how do we make your merch program into a consistent profit stream for you? Well, the first tip that I have is to be proactive and save yourself some time. And the biggest way that you can do that is to reduce the number of vendors or suppliers that you're using. This can even delve into point of purchase. So if you're often buying tap handles, keg collars, keg wraps, bar mats, these types of things, in addition to your headwear, apparel, and other merchandise, I definitely recommend to try to consolidate. That doesn't mean that you need to go to just one company for everything, but if you're going to 50 different companies, that is a lot of time wasted and headache for you. So consolidate your vendors down to really the nuts and bolts, people who can give you a wide variety of what you need. And lean on them, lean on their expertise. I'm in the merchandise industry, so I can tell you that we spend time every day understanding the current trends. We understand the different decoration methods. We are your partners in this to help you through what can be quite a complex system of navigating merchandise. I just went to a trade show through the ASI organization in Chicago a few months ago where I met hundreds of suppliers and understood what is trending today. So I'm excited to share that information with you. Okay, going to suggest that you plan in cycles. So we are now in the end of October. Hopefully, you've already planned for and have in stock your fall winter merchandise, and now you're getting ready to think about spring. If not, a lot of times lead times are just a couple of weeks. So don't delay that. Go ahead and get in your fall winter merch if you haven't already. But we want to start moving to be proactive about merchandise and considering those lead times as well. So here what's highlighted on just an example calendar of what your merch planning and ordering could look like. So I suggest twice a year planning for the next upcoming seasons. So in February, you're going to plan for your spring summer merch. And when I say plan, you don't have to order it all in February, but you're understanding what are you ordering in March? What are you ordering in April? What are you ordering in May? And so on. And then in August, you want to be planning for your fall winter merchandise. And this is really a difference of having merch drops versus staggering your merch ordering. So you can do it both ways and you can really do some of both. But you probably have seen on social media, some breweries will have big merch drops where they release 10 SKUs, multiple hats, multiple apparel, some other merch items at a time that they have in stock, new in stock. That is awesome, right? And definitely can catch eyes and get some people into your tap room. But it can be stressful on cash flow. That's a lot of upfront investment into merchandise. So if you're a smaller brewery or you want to be a little bit more cautious, right? You can definitely stagger your ordering. And so you can see here on this sample calendar how to go about that. Really, if you're doing a staggered cycle, plan that you're going to order some type of merchandise every month, every 4 to 6 weeks. When you are ready to order, here's some questions that you should ask your team and yourself. So, this is when you are in these planning cycles twice a year. So, twice a year, when you sit down and think about what are we going to be ordering this upcoming season. So, just a few questions here that you can look over yourself. Okay. I definitely encourage you to track your inventory. And I know that you're probably doing this with making beer, right? So same things for ordering your inventory. You're going to want to establish trigger and par values. So for example, let's say that you always want to have at least 5 shirts in every size on hand from, small to 2XL. You don't want to get down to, 3 medium t-shirts. So if you want 5 shirts in every size, that would be your par quantity, right? When you get down to 10 or fewer, that's your trigger to reorder. So understand based on how fast your inventory is moving. Maybe you sell 10 t-shirts a week, right? In that case, you don't want to get down to 5 before you're ordering more. You probably want to order more when you're down to 30 or 40 t-shirts, considering lead time. So understand how fast your inventory is moving, what those cycles look like, and then establish your par and trigger values. All right. So those are just some overall tips on ordering or really being proactive and planning. But now I actually have 5 tips for success when it comes to placing those merchandise orders. So we can brainstorm and talk about that all day. But again, you can't sell what you don't have. So at some point, we need to invest in merchandise and get it selling for you. First tip, and I am going to pause here just a second to see if there's any questions or comments. Looks all good. Remember that you can put comments in the public chats. If you have any of those, I will check back again soon. Okay. So, first tip is to establish your foundation. And this is something that I always say when I'm giving this presentation live, that if there's something you're going to take a picture of, this should be the slide. This is really going to be helpful when you start getting distracted by all of the different merchandise that you can purchase. Establish your foundation. And these are the 5 foundational categories that I recommend to always have on hand year round. A well designed short sleeve t shirt. And just for profit margin reasons, I suggest this kind of core t-shirt is under $12. You're going to resell for 25 or 30, right? A heavier apparel item, headwear, drinkware, and then a small grab item that retails for under $10. That is key. And that's a category I see many people forgetting about. But you've got to keep in mind that your patrons are not always going to be buying or investing in that $25, $30 purchase, right? Some days, yes, absolutely, right? But sometimes you have more of those impulse purchases, and we certainly want to encourage those to get our tabs higher. So having small grab items, especially near your register, near your taps, that someone can quickly add on, is a great category to invest in. And I will give examples now for all of these. So, talking about shirts, we all order a ton of shirts. So, I just wanted to touch on this. And then personally, I always pass out shirts, but keep in mind that you can get samples from most of your distributors or resellers that you're partnering with. So, just keep in mind across all the brands, they vary in sizes and colors and the actual fabric makeup, the fabric composition of the t shirt. So, samples are a great way to understand which brands you really like. Also recommend just looking in your closet and seeing what are shirts, common shirts that you have in your closet. Are they Bella Canvas? Are they 100% cotton? Are they a blend? What do you like wearing? What does your staff like wearing? So that's a great way that you can understand what you should be ordering. Here are just some recommended brands: Next Level, Bella Canvas, All Made, District. Those are very common. Comfort Colors could definitely be on here too, as shirts I typically see and recommend. You have basically 3 different categories of t-shirts: 100% cotton, a blend of cotton and poly, so 50-50, and then a tri blend. So that's going to be a blend of cotton, poly, and then typically rayon. That's going to be a very performance kind of moisture wicking t-shirt, whereas 100% cotton a lot of times is lighter weight, um, great for cool summer days, right? So look in your closet, get samples, but know that there are three different main categories: cotton, blend, and tri blends. And definitely encourage you to also experiment with things like V-necks, scoop necks, pocket tees, right, tank tops. But definitely always have your basic short sleeve T-shirt as well. And then weight of shirts. So heavy cotton is definitely in. Typically, a typical T-shirt weight might be 3, 4, 5 ounces. But we are seeing that, and that's per yard when I say that. Right now, we are seeing a lot of heavier weight cotton shirts being really popular, like your comfort colors. Okay, so you always want to have a t-shirt on hand. Next category is a heavier apparel item. So this could look like a sweatshirt or hoodie, a flannel shirt, a comfy long sleeve, or a button down. And I say to always have a heavier apparel item on hand year round because you never know what people have in their closet. People can only buy so many t-shirts. So if you also have a long sleeve or a hoodie or a full zip hoodie that they can buy, they very well may, even if it is in July or August. I know I get really cold in air conditioning, as you can see right now, the fact that I'm wearing a hoodie inside. And I definitely would buy a comfortable crew neck sweatshirt in the summertime. So recommend to always have a heavier apparel item on hand. Hats. Gotta have hats, right? And we'll get into some quantity hacks later on in my presentation, but I do recommend to have a variety. Don't just buy what you like in this case because people like all different kinds of headwear. You've got your truckers, 5 or 7 panel campers, dad hats or a baseball hat, right? So not everyone is going to want a trucker. Case in point, me, I pretty much only buy dad hats. So definitely recommend having a variety of headwear. And you've got your popular brands like Richardson or Yupon that are great classic staples to go to. Okay, unique drinkware. This is a really fun category that is often forgotten about as well. So I definitely recommend to have it on hand. You are serving beer, people are drinking it, right? So certainly you can have some fun glassware that actually complements the different beer styles that you're known for. But additionally, look outside of that at things like ceramic mugs, things like tumblers, really popular right now. I've got an entire pantry of tumblers that I go between. So definitely have some drinkware on hand. And then finally, the last category that I recommend for your foundation are those smaller impulse grab items. Again, keep them next to your register. Ideally, they're at a retail price of under $10. So you're buying these for a few dollars. And just some examples here that you can see, like a paddle bottle opener, branded chapstick is super popular right now. There's also other types of branded wellness products you could get, like, for example, um, branded hand sanitizer. Maybe you have a brewery near the coast, you can have branded sunscreen, things that they're going to keep using every day, and we'll see your logo every time they use it and remember you. So these items are great to have on hand. All right, so that was my first tip, right? Again, your 5 foundational merch items. Let's see if I can remember them. T-shirt, a heavier apparel item, drinkware. This is hard as I'm going through it. Normally I have the audience, pitch in here. Headwear, and a smaller grab item. So there will be a quiz at the end. All right. Tip number 2, when it comes to branching out of your foundation, I do recommend to think about what's going to resonate with your demographic. So if you have a super outdoorsy audience, right, then maybe you're investing in frisbees, outdoor blankets. If you're near this can even be locational. So if you're near a park, right, have some things like a frisbee or outdoor blanket that they can buy from your brewery and take it to the park nearby. If you've got a lot of pet Owners come in your brewery, maybe you have a pet friendly tap room, so there's always pets there, then have things like a plush can dog toy that is super cute and it's in the right hand corner. And if you don't have it yet in your tap room, you definitely got to get these. Something like a travel water bowl or a pet jersey, leashes, collars, all super fun. Again, if you're near the beach, you could have some things like this photo here that you see a branded swim towel, a beach ball, some beach games. So think about what's going to resonate. Where are you located? Try to stay true to that so that you're not ending up with a crazy wall of mismatched merchandise that may sit there. We don't want that happening. And when in doubt, go back to your foundational items. Okay. Just a few more examples here. So Salty Turtle is a brewery in North Carolina. They have an awesome merch shop. So if you're looking for inspiration, you can go check out Salty Turtle and their online merch shop. They have a strong golf audience. And so they have branded golf balls. They have an all over sublimated golf polo, a ball marker, tees, right? So they are really leaning into their audience. And I know from talking to them that they sell a lot of their branded golf merchandise. Another example is Sierra Nevada. They're in the mountains of North Carolina. They have very active outdoorsy drinkers, patrons. And so here's just a few things that you can find in their merch shop online and in their tap room. All right, tip number 3 is how to keep your designs interesting inside of your merchandise. So remember that big merch fail, slapping your primary logo all over your SKUs. We don't want to do that. We want to keep our designs interesting as well as our actual items. So branding doesn't stop with your main logo. I could say this 5 more times just for that to sink in. Definitely we want to use your branding, right? And have it stay quote unquote on brand, and stay within like your brand's persona and your audience's demographic, but we don't need to stop with just your logo assets. And I'll show you what I mean. So a great example of this is Narragansett. They not only play with things like their taglines, like "Hi Neighbor," the city state where they're located, their beer portfolio, their sub beer brands, but also things like you're gonna need a bigger boat, right? It's not even the Narragansett logo is not on there. Maybe it's on the back of the hat, but you can tap into a blend of local references and pop culture as well. Very fun. New Belgium Brewing also has some great examples of this. Alternatively powered since 1991, brewed for all, make world-class beer. You can see a variety of fonts, colors, designs, but they all look great and make us think of New Belgium still. All tied to that. So you may be saying, that's great, Emily. I'd love to offer unique designs, but how do I go about doing that? Well, there are 3 different ways to go about it. First of all, if you have an in-house designer who's working on your can label, your branding already, then that's great, right? Let's have them design some really nice looking merchandise. You can also look into a third party or contract designer. And something that I found really fun lately are a lot of collaborations between breweries and local artists. Make sure that you give them credit, work out how they are being compensated for that. Maybe there's some royalties in addition to that upfront flat fee. But it's a great way as well to tap into the local community because they're going to be sharing all of that merchandise that their art is on and therefore extending it into their own audience too, helping you sell it. And the third way that you can go about it is to ask your merch partner to get creative with your existing logo assets. Do you need to understand the limitations to this? If you want to, for example, put an illustration of your brewery's building on a t-shirt, that is a totally new Illustrator file that needs to be created. You do need to pay for some design and creative time for that to happen. But if you, for example, want to take your can art and make it into a screen print ready artwork, that is definitely something that I know we can do with our design capabilities and other resellers can do as well. It's an existing artwork file, so we're not creating new art, but we're removing it from the can background and doing things like making it from multiple colors and halftones into a 3 or 4 color print. So definitely possible. And Every time I do this talk at different conferences, breweries talk about how they've done this very successfully, and these shirts always sell well. Another example is, so here you have Havoc Brewing's primary logo. We don't need to just put that logo on every single item here that you see on the right. Instead, you can see that top two here, same logo, right? Didn't change the actual design, but we have a gradient. So you can print in different colors than just the classic black logo there that they have. You can make a circular design, so playing with very simple shapes. And then on the hat, taking the primary word mark, but changing the font of brewing to make it fun and really stand out on that hat. This is really meant to provide some great inspiration for you. And so I hope that you take this slide as well and think about how you can play with your existing logo assets. It'll save you some money and make your merchandise really stand out and look compelling. Okay, number 4. And again, I'm going to pop over, see if there are any questions. Looks like we're all good. Okay, awesome. All right, so tip number 4 is quantity hacks. I love talking about this. It can be unfair, right? That if you're larger and making more money and have more money to play with in your merchandise, you can get upwards into ordering 244, 300 plus, right, units of items. And as we know, when you order higher quantities, your unit cost goes down. You're making more profit on every item that you sell. I get it. That can be unfair. Well, how you can go about this still as a smaller brewery is to lean into some quantity hacks. So you see an example here. The design, Big Axe Brewery, this is a flat embroidery design, stays the same throughout all of this headwear. So you have the quantity breaks of the design staying the same, but they're typically just really simple, inexpensive thread color changes or ink color changes for printing that maybe are $15, $20 that you're paying per change as long as the design stays the same. So every time the color changes, you're paying that flat fee, again, typically $15, $20 at most, but you're still getting that quantity break by having 144 or 72 or whatnot of that design. And there are substantial price breaks from printing or doing embroidery of something like only 12 or 24 units or 48 going into more like 72 and 144. You can do the same thing with t-shirts. So here you see that we, for a client of ours, did the Chattanooga design on the back of a long sleeve t-shirt for them and also on the front of a hoodie. And I believe for this order, the total design was 300, which is a great quantity price break level from us. But they did 150 long sleeves and 150 sweatshirts. Awesome way. Do keep in mind for this that typically the dimensions need to stay the same because that's how screen printing setup works. So the screens, you can't change dimensions of the artwork, but as long as the artwork design dimensions are the same throughout the order, you can put it on any number of apparel styles that you'd like. This could also go on a t-shirt, right? This is not an excuse to put the exact same design on everything that you have in your merch shop, but you can play with a few styles and get those quantity breaks for you. Okay. Number 5, this is our last tip is, well, there will be a bonus tip, but this is the last of the first 5. If they see it, you'll sell it, right? And a great movie reference here, nobody puts baby in a corner to Dirty Dancing. This is the biggest no that I see in breweries is location of your merchandise. If you've been listening this far, first of all, thank you. But you're doing all of this work to invest in high quality, fantastic merch that people want to buy, right? They want to support you. They want to wear your brand around town. They want to have cool sweatshirts that they can wear. They've got to know about it, right? They have to see it. So first of all, don't put your merch behind a counter or in a corner where it's not visible. And I encourage you when you're in your tap room next, or if you're there now, do a walkthrough as if you're a patron. do you have an opportunity to buy merchandise between the time that you walk in the door and buy that pour, right? If you're not even seeing it, if you don't have the opportunity to buy it, then neither do your patrons. So do that walkthrough and think about how your merch is being organized. Make sure it's accessible so that people see it on their way to the taps and are able to actually buy it. I really want to touch on this, another point here. I've seen that a lot of breweries will have their merch hanging up above their taps on the wall. That's great from a visibility standpoint. They are able to see it, but we want to reduce friction in the sale. Same sales process for B2B sales, right? How can we remove friction? How can we make it easier for people to buy from us? So, same thing in retail. People need to touch and feel the merchandise, right? It's awkward if they have to go up and ask a beer tender to get a sweatshirt down from up where it's displayed or from the back so that they can see it and feel it and even understand if they want to buy it. Most of the time, people are not going to do that. So try to have your merchandise out where people can touch it, feel it, try it on, even get their right size, right? Try to stock multiple sizes. Um, it's gonna really make a difference for you if you don't have it set up like this currently. And make sure to let people know, not only in your tap room, but typically when I am going to conferences and doing this in person, I always ask how many of you actually have merch available to buy on your website, and it's maybe a third of the room will raise their hands. If you're nervous about keeping up with inventory, I know that can be a pain. At least start with putting merchandise up on your website um, that doesn't have sizes, right? So if you're selling some glassware or a one size fits most headwear, start with those items, right? You never know. Maybe I visited your tap room when I was on a trip and now I follow you on social media and you post that you have these lovely sweatshirts in stock. I want to be able to buy that even if I can't go into your tap room, right? So make it available on your website. There's plenty of um, websites builders now like Shopify that you can have on your website at an affordable cost and have that merch available to people all over the world. Here's just a couple points here that you can look for other ways to let people know that you have new merch in stock. And a bonus tip on pricing. So I'm going to go ahead and go to this slide here. I've seen the same example for how to price your beer. Obviously, you can make a really great IPA, but if it costs, I don't know, $15 to make, right? That's probably not going to work out well. So we want to work backwards from these ceiling kind of norm price points for these items. Typically, t-shirts are around 25 at the most 30, maybe 35 for a pocket short sleeve t-shirt. That's definitely pushing it. So you have these ceiling price points, right? Typically, you want a 50% profit margin. Sometimes this gets dipped into, but again, this is a presentation on making profit from your merchandise, not just revenue. So we want to aim for that 50% margin. Therefore, your t-shirt all in should cost you less than $12. Keep in mind, shipping and setup fees also go into cost of goods sold. So if you're shipping your shirts from across the country and adding $1 onto the cost of each shirt, you need to also add that in. There's a couple of different ways that you can think about this. Let's say that you have a really cool design, graphic design that you want to put on a t-shirt, but it's 6 colors, right? Or maybe even more than that. And so it actually has to be put on there as a transfer. That's going to be a higher cost than a 1 or 2 color, one location screen print. So in that case, I'd probably steer you toward a lower priced t-shirt, something like a Bella Canvas 100% cotton t-shirt, right? So that overall, the price isn't astronomical. But maybe you want a really simple tone on tone, one color, one location, very simple design like this on the front of your t-shirt. In that case, you could go with a higher quality t-shirt, maybe a tri blend or a shirt made from organic cotton, right? So think about it, right? In those terms, most of the time it's going to be hard for you to have both the really expensive blank t-shirt and a six color, three location design, right? So you've got to really work backwards to play with those numbers. Um, Same thing we would say with beer or food or anything on your menu or in your tap room. Don't just set the price and forget it. Talk to your customers, talk to your staff, pay attention to what your competitors, to what other breweries or tap rooms are selling their merchandise for, especially in your area. And don't forget that setup fees and shipping costs do affect your cost of goods sold. Okay, I hope this was really helpful. This has been a ton of information. I'm going to just double check we don't have any questions. Looks like we're still all good. So great. Hopefully, I've answered your questions throughout this presentation. A few quick points. We want to find a partner in merch management so that you save some time and can really lean on them for support and information on things like what's trending or your sizing breakdown of your apparel order, all good stuff like that. Uh, Definitely take away from today to meet at least twice a year to plan in season. So you want to meet before the fall winter season. So August is a great month to plan out what you're ordering and when you're ordering it throughout the fall winter months. And then the same thing, meet in February would be a good month to talk about plan spring and summer merchandise ordering. Establish your merch foundation. Remember, that was the one I said, please take a photo of that. You want to have short sleeve t-shirts, a heavier apparel item, drinkware, headwear, and then also those smaller grab impulse items that retail under $10, something like a bandana or branded chapstick or something else under $10, coaster. There you go, sticker. So establish your merch foundation, and when in doubt, go back to those 5 categories we covered. When you are ready to move beyond that and you're looking at investing in additional merch, pay attention to where you're located and what your demographic already is going out and buying and using in their daily lives. Are they outdoorsy? Are they pet crazy? Are they golfers? Pay attention to local things as well. Do you have a sports team nearby? Things like that. Keep your merch interesting, both in terms of what you're offering and in terms of your design. And we talked about different ways you can go about that. There are plenty of ways, both through partnering with a local artist or working with your merch partner, to keep the design costs low, but still offer compelling merchandise that's not just your primary logo slapped all over everything. Save money with quantity and design hacks. So keep in mind that a lot of times there are simple, low cost, $15, $20 fees like thread or ink color changes that you can tap into while still getting those overall quantity breaks by spreading your design across multiple styles or again, changing up the ink color or thread color just to have a few more options in your tap room and not be stuck with 300 of the same thing. And then tell people about your merch. Make sure that you have it in a place in your tap room that is easily accessible where people can touch it, feel it, and take up that exact item or t-shirt that they want to buy to the tap room so that when they're buying their beer, they can also buy that t-shirt or hoodie that they are confident in their purchase and want to go buy at that moment. Here's my contact information. Feel free to reach out to me if you had any additional questions or if any questions pop up as you're going about your merch ordering. I'm Emily. Again, I'm the Director of Business Development at Shore Up Supply, and I look forward to hearing from you hopefully soon.